Hey everybody. Yeah, you can hear what I'm kind of dealing with. Literally just started 10 minutes ago. Hey everybody. Yeah, you can hear what I'm kind of dealing with. Literally just started 10 minutes ago. Hey everybody. Yeah, you can hear what I'm kind of dealing with. Literally just started 10 minutes ago. Hey everybody. Why is it echoing? Why is it echoing Okay, so you can see I'm having some technical difficulties as well. Wouldn't be a first time live stream if everything didn't go wrong, right? Okay, so you can see I'm having some technical difficulties as well. Wouldn't be a first time live stream if everything didn't go wrong, right? So you can see I'm having some technical difficulties as well. Wouldn't be a first time live stream if everything didn't go wrong, right? So you can see I'm having some technical difficulties as well. Wow, okay, I gotta figure out how to stop this audio from echoing. Wow, okay, I gotta figure out how to stop this audio from echoing. Are you guys hearing that audio echo as well, or is that just me? Are you guys hearing that audio echo as well, or is that just me? Yeah. Oh, it's the phone, that's right. Oh, screw. Okay, let me know if that echo is still going. I'm trying to figure this out. This is my first live stream, so I kind of learned all this throughout the week. Nobody's really helped me set this up, so sorry about all this difficulty. Something I'm just going to kind of work through as we go. Kind of looking at the chat, just give me kind of a clue if anything's still messed up. Everything good here? It stopped, okay. Okay, it's gone, awesome. That's good to hear. I hope that's the case, and here comes the construction noise. So what happened is, I'm in my apartment right now. I'm not in the studio. So somebody started construction about 3 floors up. That just literally started about 10 minutes ago. They didn't give us any prior warning that it was going to happen today. So I was even considering whether to reschedule this live stream until after they're done. But I've already kind of been promoting this for the better part of 5 days, so I didn't want to reschedule on you guys. So yeah. So anyway, yeah, how are you guys all doing? It's a pretty rough first live stream, but I asked you guys all to send me in some questions, and you guys did. I got tons of questions, literally probably almost 1,000 questions, which was pretty awesome. Not just from our members, but from all the subscribers as well. So thank you guys for sending me all of your questions. Probably 25% of those were kind of the expected, you know, where's chapter 4, where's dark deception, but we had a lot of good questions as well. And so since this is a Q&A live stream, that's basically what I'm going to focus on. Is I'm just going to read through some of the questions that you guys asked, and I'm going to answer them as best I can. And hopefully this jackhammering that's happening above me will cut out at some point, give us a break, but I'm not going to bet on that, so apologies again. If you want to turn down your volume, go for it. So some of our member questions that came in, one of the first ones that was asked was by ThiefPrick4637, and it's asked, what was the longest level to develop from chapters 1, 2, or 3? I'd say probably the longest level to develop in Dark Deception was Crazy Carnival. And mainly that's because a lot of the levels were pre-built from 2014. And we had the assets ready to go. That made it a lot easier to kind of go through and put the levels together and get everything done. Whereas Crazy Carnival was basically built from scratch. And because of that, it took a lot longer, and we had to build everything and texture everything and animate everything, whereas all the previous 4 levels had already had those assets completed for the past few years. So that's why that level took the longest so far. I think out of the 5 months we worked on Chapter 3, probably about 2.5 to 3 months of that was for Crazy Carnival. Okay, our next question was from Chunk, another member. What inspired you to create the Trigger Teddies, or how did you think of them? Oh boy, okay, so the Trigger Teddies were actually inspired by the movie Child's Play, because I was a big fan of Child's Play growing up, and I always thought evil toys are pretty creepy. But obviously, I don't want to copy Child's Play and just do like a killer doll. So just walking through the mall in the US, you see what is that stuffed bear factory that they have in a lot of the malls? I see that a lot, and I always thought some of those looked pretty creepy, so I decided to apply kind of the Child's Play logic to the teddy bear, and that kind of grew into Mama Bear and the Trigger Teddies. I can't really go into what their abilities are because that would be a bit of a spoiler, so I'm not going to talk about that for this question. But yeah, that's pretty much what led to the Trigger Teddies, and a lot of the designs are based off movies that I'm a fan of. Build-A-Bear, there you go. Some of you are putting it in the chat. Build-A-Bear, okay. Any other day I could remember that. For some reason it's eluding me today. So yeah, I watch a lot of horror movies, and a lot of my character designs were inspired in some way by a lot of the horror movies that I grew up with, the ones that I watch now. And the jackhammering is back. Sorry, guys. I figured you guys would want to deal with it rather than have me reschedule till after 12 here, which is, I think, past midnight for a lot of you, and for some of you, you're up at like 3 a.m., 5 a.m., depending on your time zone. I'm in Asia right now, so it's only 10 in the morning here. Yeah, it's getting pretty bad, so I have no control over that. I'm sorry again. So the third question is by Endo, who actually does our French translation. He's one of our members as well. Do you travel a lot to America when working on the voices, or do you work in the USA? Yes, actually I do work in the USA. I work in Los Angeles. That's one of the places where I work, and most of the Dark Deception team is actually based in Los Angeles. So, like Daniel Dombrowski, he's based in Los Angeles. So is our sound designer. A lot of our help for modeling and environment art are based in Los Angeles. It's a pretty good hub for a lot of game talent. So occasionally I go back. I still have a place there, and I'll work there for a little bit before coming back to Asia and working from here. The recording studios that we work with for recording with Christopher Smith and Chris J. Alex and Tara Strong, they're all based in LA. So are the actors and actresses. So yeah, I do work out of LA in the US sometimes. Question number 4 from Black Diablos. Was Stranger Sewers and Crazy Carnival development absolute, or if you had more time, would they become larger levels? No, I think those levels were pretty set. Like, I don't think we could make those any bigger than they already were, especially Crazy Carnival. So Stranger Sewers was supposed to be more encapsulated, since it was more about stealth and slow progression and the enemy kind of blending in. So having it be much larger would greatly reduce the impact and effectiveness of the Duckies. So I think a smaller, more claustrophobic level was more appropriate for that. Oh, and guys, I will take a break during the questions to address. I see some super chats coming in, so I will take a look at those in a few minutes, just to let you know. So question number 5 is from Duckpen, another member. How did you find Daniel Dombrowski? That's actually an interesting question. So a lot of you guys really appreciate Daniel Dombrowski's work, which he's loving so far. Thank you all for the respect and admiration that you've shown him. He puts a lot of work into these tracks, and I think he's done an amazing job. The interesting story with Daniel that a lot of you don't know is that he actually, well, I met him through a friend. So there's a film that I helped produce called The Nino. It's a short film that was on YouTube and Vimeo, or Vimeo for a little while, and I was a producer on that with Penn. And my friend was the director for that film, and he had Daniel doing some of the music for the film, and that was how I met him. And he actually applied to be the composer on Dark Deception back in 2014, and he did a little sample for me to listen to at the time, and for some reason it just didn't fit with Dark Deception at that time, so I kind of passed on him, which, you know, in retrospect was not the best decision, and I went with a different guy instead, and that did not work out in the long run. And around 2018, I reached out to Daniel again, and I said, hey, would you like to take another stab at this? Because some of his more recent work started to sound pretty good. Like, I guess some time in the industry had given him some opportunities to grow and improve his skill set. And when he did another sample for me in 2018, it really blew me away. So, yeah, I guess, you know, everything works out in the end. It's funny that, you know, he hit it on the second time, not the first time. And now he's doing this amazing music for the game. Okay, so now I'm going to get into our subscriber questions. These are non-members. And the first subscriber question we have is from Sightson. Will Dark Deception Chapter 1 and 2, or levels 1 through 3, get a boss battle after Chapter 4 or 5? Well, I mean, okay, so Chapter 1 and 2. Well, we've talked about that, and we've actually designed out boss battles for the monkey level, the school, and the manor. The manor kind of already had one because you're kind of fighting the Golden Army as you escape, you know, the army of Gold Watchers. We had the giant Gold Watcher at the end that was more just to kind of startle the player more than actually provide a boss battle, because we weren't sure we were going to do boss battles at that time. So we do have the room to go back and add bosses to the first 3 levels. We just have to see if it really adds anything to the game, or if it would just be to, you know, put a boss battle in every level. Because I'd say from the sewer on, there will be boss battles in pretty much every level. So that's pretty much part of the gameplay now. So yes, we could, if there's time and if there's enough demand for it, and if we feel it adds something of value to the game, but we're not just going to tack that on just for the sake of it. So the second question is from Chu Allen. What motivates you, or what motivated you to design the Joy Joy Gang? Oh boy, here comes the jackhammering again. Okay, so the Joy Joy Gang is interesting because they were one of the first characters that we designed back in 2014. And it was inspired by probably the same sources as Five Nights at Freddy's. So we were inspired by Chuck E. Cheese and Showbiz Pizza Place and those creepy kind of, you know, mascots that you see at all the sporting events and theme parks. So that was our inspiration for a while, was that we wanted to do something creepy with animatronics. And really at the time, a lot of studios were already kind of discussing that idea. It's just FNAF did it first, and FNAF did it the best. So they kind of set the bar for that, and we kind of put our game on pause for a few years. So originally, the Joy Joy Gang was going to be Lucky. He was the first one we designed, and then came Hangry, and then came Penny, but Penny was originally going to be a panda, as I've shown you guys from the original concept. And around 2015, 2016, we changed that to a chicken, just because it fit better with the group, since they were kind of like common North American animals, and a panda was just a little bit out of place, so we took that out, and that's kind of why the Joy Joy Gang is what it is now. Third question is from Yoshi Gamer 57. Was the Dread Ducky dance always going to be a thing, or was it added to Chapter 3 due to the fan base's reaction to that part in the 5th Deadlock? Yes, the fans were directly responsible for the addition of the Dread Ducky dance. I was not planning for that, and I just did that as a little demonstration in the devlog, and there was such a positive reaction to it. I just felt, yeah, why not? Just throw it into the game, and it adds some character to the Dread Ducky. I was already kind of thinking about giving him a curb stomp death animation, so I thought it'd be really cool to see him kind of dance and taunt the player before doing his curb stomp kill. So that fit in pretty great. So yeah, all you fans can kind of, pat yourself on the back for that. You guys directly influenced Dark Deception and added that to that character. So thank you all for your feedback. That's why the fan feedback is so important, because it can lead to interesting ideas like that. We're always willing to listen on our side. Let's see. Question number 4 from Wesley Tripp. What do you like most about game development? Honestly, I grew up playing a ton of games. I'm a hardcore gamer. I like pretty much every genre of gaming. I don't really cling to like any one particular type of game. So for me, the fun of game development is just being involved in the game community. I think contributing to that is kind of been like my life dream. Like growing up, I play all these great games by great designers and great teams, and some of them suck. Those can be fun too in their own way, but then you get great games like Zelda and Final Fantasy and Resident Evil and all these other amazing games, and it's just contributing to somebody else's, I guess, experience with gaming in the same way that they contributed to mine is kind of what I've always been hoping to accomplish. So I think that's where I derive kind of my satisfaction is hearing people say they like the game, that it made their day better, that they are enjoying and they're excited to see what comes next. Because that's how I felt when I played games growing up, and I'm glad to be able to give that to somebody else, to pay something back. Okay, question number 6 is from... Oh, I'm sorry. Question number 5 from Rocco. Are there any other projects you and the team have been working on? Yeah, we have a couple other projects. So there's a secret project that I can't discuss yet, but it's coming, and it's actually another collaboration of sorts with a different team. And I'll have more on that in the next few months. And of course, a lot of you know about Ayano's Lovesick Labyrinth, which we're doing with Yandere Dev for Yandere Simulator. That's still in the works, and it's still coming, and it's looking pretty awesome so far. So I'm pretty excited to finally show you guys some of that. I've only released music and some of the character models so far, but there's a lot more coming in the next few months. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And as for the secret project, we'll have some stuff to show for that as well. Question number 6 is from Duck. If you ended up in Dark Deception's universe, do you think you could pull off Bierce's tasks? No, I would die horribly very quickly, because I have a tendency to space out, and that wouldn't do very well in the mazes. I think I would not get past the monkeys. So yeah, it wouldn't be a good place for me. With 7, we have Mark Prefer. What is your favorite Dark Deception monster? Well, I get that one a lot, and that's actually kind of a tough question, because I like all the monsters, but if I had to pick a favorite, I guess I would still go with the Dread Ducky, just because I like duckies, and I think it's cute but creepy, which kind of appeals to my taste. So yeah, that's the one I would want to put on my desk if I had a figurine of it. Question number 8 from, I can't pronounce this, Lixku. Okay, do you use blueprints or C++? Well, Do you use blueprints or C++ to make your games? Is programming difficult to learn? Yeah. I mean, this is more a question for Nixon, since he's our guy for programming. But I know enough. I do some programming myself, C++. I write, I use blueprints inside of Unreal, and I write UI buttons and stuff. So yeah, programming is difficult to learn, but it's not impossible. You just need to be very dedicated to it and really put in the time, because like everything, it's going to require a lot of hard work. Dark Deception is built in Unreal's blueprint system. So we do use some C++, but it's mostly blueprints. Let me see. Question number 9. PyroShark119. How did you come up with naming your company Glowstick Entertainment? Okay, so I kind of touched on that a little bit in our devlog from before. The name actually was chosen by my previous partner. It was a name he had wanted to name a company for a long time, for various reasons. And because all of the names that I had chosen were already trademarked, I couldn't use them, I just decided to go ahead and use his, which at the time was Glowstick Games. So after Glowstick Games closed, I felt like we had put a lot of work into the name and the brand of Glowstick Games, so I wanted to rename it Glowstick Entertainment. Because hopefully at some point, this company will be more than just games. Like, we want to be involved in all aspects of the gaming culture and entertainment, which can include anything from comics to movies or TV shows. So we have big plans for Dark Deception and some of our other games that we have kind of designed out and sitting on the shelf right now. And we're hoping, if things continue to go well, that we'll have the freedom and the financing to actually attempt some of that. But, we'll see. Right now, we're just going to get through Dark Deception and make that the best game we can make it, and we'll see what happens in the future. Nobody knows what the future holds. But yeah, that's why we named it Glowstick Entertainment. Question number 10 from Devian Flores. Does the team already have ideas for the second game of Dark Deception? Yes, actually we've already announced, or I kind of announced it on Twitter, that we were going to do a Dark Deception sequel. So yes, it's already being planned. We do have some kind of loose designs put down on paper, but our focus is 100% on Dark Deception 1, Chapter 4 and 5. So right now we're just kind of loosely discussing, what that next portion of the story is going to entail and cover. But we're not going to really design that out until we fully finish Dark Deception 1. But we do have a general idea of where that's going to go, based on how Dark Deception 1 ends. It'll be interesting. You'll see pretty soon. Okay, so question number 11 from Angela Aguas. Have you ever thought of adding mais creator mode once Dark Deception was fully complete? This is another one that we get asked by fans a lot. Some kind of mais editor or level creator. And I think that's definitely something we're interested in, since all of our mazes are built as modular tile pieces. That would make a level creator actually doable. But we'd have to see how much fan demand there is for that, because we have a lot of demand for multiplayer as well. And we'd have to weigh which one was more beneficial for the fan base and also for the game itself. If we could somehow combine those two into some kind of Mario Maker multiplayer game, we could see. We'll explore that once, chapters 4 and 5 are done. We still have a ways to go with that. But we are targeting to have chapter 4 and 5 completely done by Halloween of 2020. So I'm not going to give any release dates, but that is kind of our target. If you're completely done with Dark Deception 1 for chapters 4 and 5, we'll see how it goes. So far, I think we're still on track. But yeah, you guys know how great I am at keeping estimations. So that's why I avoid giving anything. Question number 12 from Jackson Hardy. What are you going to do when all 5 chapters are done? Well, I'm going to relax for a little bit. We might work on a different game idea before we start Dark Deception 2. We have some really awesome other horror game concepts sitting on the shelf right now that we feel you guys will also love. So we may take a break, kind of like some of the other teams I know have taken breaks after they did a big title and they try something more experimental. We might try something like that as well. And we have some really cool experimental ideas that we're looking at. Or we may just go and do Dark Deception multiplayer. We'll see. Again, it depends on what our community and the players are telling us which way we go. But I think eventually we are going to try to do something a bit more fun and experimental in a different direction. So fun in a different way. It could be a more mature horror game. It could be a more psychological horror game. Something like Outlast, whereas something more action-packed like Resident Evil. It depends. We have we have a few designs that kind of go multiple ways. We'll see. Okay, question number 13 from Mr. Mister. What is your favorite Dark Deception soundtrack that has been released so far? That would be Mind Your Manners. I still like that. That one's my favorite. I think Daniel got a really awesome sound with that one, and I'm a sucker for the kind of Renaissance sounding OST track. So yeah, that one's still my favorite. I mean, I love all the tracks, but I still listen to that one a lot. Question number 14 from Grandom Rye. Who makes the pictures of the monsters we see both on the main menu screen and on the soundtracks? Do they also make the portal icons? That one's easy. That's me. So I do all the title screen art, and I do all of the UI art. So the portal icons, I do those as well. Right now, I'm pretty much doing all of the concept art in the game, as well as all the UI art. So my job is to design pretty much the game. And I also do the concept art and the UI art. Nixon pretty much handles everything with programming, and he does probably about 98% of the lighting as well. Penn handles pretty much every material and texture and shader in the game. So my job is to be the glue between all of that. Anything that they're not doing, I'm doing. So that's my job in the team, besides design. I do a lot of the animation as well. I do all of the kill animations. Nixon does the camera work for those animations within Unreal. So that's how we kind of divide up the work. I think all of us are currently handling about 33% of the game, so we're pretty even on the 1/3 split. And I think if you took away any one of our work, the game would be much less impressive than it is. So I think all three of us are vital with our contributions, and I think that's what makes it awesome, is that it's very equal for the workload. Question number 15, and after this I'm going to take a short pause to read through some of the super chats. This one's from Pedro Velasquez. I would like to know what your inspiration was to create the personality that Bierce has. Oh, okay. So for Bierce, I think what inspired her were two sources of inspiration. One was a really old movie from the 90s that was called Death Becomes Her. The two women, one was Goldie Hawn. The two women in that film were very kind of egocentric, especially one of them. I'm trying to remember who the other actress was. But they were really self-centered and kind of snobby. And then you had Cruella de Vil from Disney, which is also kind of an aristocratic villain. So I think the two of those, they have such strong personalities. I think that really appealed to me, and that's what kind of Bierce was born from, was those two inspirations. Okay, so let me take a little pause here on the questions, and I'm just going to take a quick look. Oh wow, you guys have been pretty active. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's doing the super chat and donating money. We really appreciate that. Pretty much anything you guys donate is going to go right back into the game, so thank you guys for those contributions. I'm just going to go through some of these here. Titan 1016, thank you. $3.99. We have Gabriel Maulaz. Sorry if I butcher any of your names. I'm just going to pronounce these the best I can. Vince, can we survive being an indie dev? You can survive being an indie dev. You just have to have a lot of patience. Being an indie dev is pretty much being on a roller coaster of ups and downs. So if you're somebody that gets kind of down and out easily, then it might not be the best path for you, because for every high, there's going to be a super low. When things are going great, they're going to hit a wall, and you're going to feel like it's all over, and that's it, and you failed. And you have to be able to pick yourself up at that low point when you feel like you're failing, and bounce back to get back to the next high, which is when things start to go right and everything's going smoothly, because it's constant. For the past 6 years, there's been many points where I felt that the company was just bankrupt and going to be out of business, and I'd never be able to finish Dark Deception. And then if you persevere and you're persistent, you'll always find a way. I mean, if you have to work a day job to get the cash you need, if you can't get it from other sources, if you don't have the right team members. I built completely the wrong team in the beginning, and it took me a few years to get the right one together. So you have to be able to keep things going when things are not going right, because at some point things will not go right. So yeah, if you're always persistent and you remember to persevere and believe in yourself and not get discouraged, then you can be an indie dev. All right, so we got Let's Say Lover. What is that? Let's Say Loves Art. Thank you very much. $5. Ninja Michael 1000 contributed 2. Hey, I have a question. How was your day? Well, it's going better now. The construction team seems to be slowing down a bit, and all those early technical difficulties are gone. So I was a bit nervous at first. Everything was going wrong, but I think we've kind of bounced back a little bit. It's not so bad, but everyone who watches this live stream later is going to see that again. But this will be a reminder of how things don't always go perfectly, especially when you're trying something out for the first time and you're new to it. So yeah, I got my coffee. I got you guys. It's all going great so far. We got Oreo 342. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not. Those are members joining in. Oh, Luce Lover again, $3.99. Wow, you're really contributing. Thank you. Thank you very much. This person's name I can't say, but out of 10, how hard is Dark Deception Chapter 4? It's hard. I mean, there's always the easy option for anyone that thinks it's too challenging. I'm not going to torture you guys with, well, maybe I will. We'll see. I don't want to say if it's harder than the Gold Watchers or not. It really depends on your skill level. I think, like, for some people, it's going to be pretty decent challenge level. For others, it may be very hard. It all depends on how well you play the game and how well you pay attention, I guess. We'll see. But I would say for me and myself and my skill level, it's definitely a 7. I think at some point I'm going to do a live stream where I play Dark Deception just to show you guys, you know, you're probably better than I am at Dark Deception. So if I can do it, I think you guys can all do it, because a lot of you are way, way better than I am at my own game. So yeah, don't get too scared about the challenge and the difficulty. Let's see. And they're back. Okay, Dark Jerry Entertainment, $2. I love Dark Deception. Thank you for an amazing game. Thank you for playing our game. It wouldn't be amazing if we didn't have a community behind it. So thank you all. We got Retro Styled Music, who's also a member, contributed 5. Thank you very much. Was there any scrapped enemies during the development of Dark Deception? Yeah. So there's the 2 enemies that I've shown you. The Vulture Guard Penny the Panda, and the Spider Pig. So for various reasons, those ones just didn't fit the style of the game, so they wound up on the cutting room floor. They just weren't as interesting as the other designs that we have that have made it into the game. So those were the 3 that were cut. There aren't any other secret characters that have been cut, just those 3. Mr. Pro donated $20, or yeah. Send chapter 4, Vince. Okay, yeah, when it's ready. Isaac Smith also contributed $2. Thank you very much. Do some of you guys not look at the description? I think he's talking to fans with that one. I'm not sure what the context of that is, so. But thank you, Isaac, for contributing. Franklin, the Orange Boy, contributed $5. Thanks, Franklin. How long does it take you to think of a design for the Dark Deception character? I usually spend about a week to 2 weeks on a character design. The process for character design is usually I'll go through about 20 to 50 rough thumbnail sketches, and from that I'll share that with the team, and we'll kind of choose the one that we like and pick which silhouette kind of looks more interesting. And once we've picked out maybe 12 of those rough concepts, we'll take it to a next level of polish, which is a bit more detailed concept, where we start to see some of the inner details on the character's clothing, their face, their skin, their claws, whatever they are, whether they're humanoid or more kind of grotesque. At that point, we'll start to see more of what the character actually looks like. And from there, we'll do that same process again. We'll pick which ones look most interesting out of that narrowed field. And once we have 2 or 3 of them, then we'll start to do a color rough to see what their color scheme is. And we'll do another pass on that. And from there, we'll pick the final one. So it really is kind of a team effort, even though I'm doing all of the actual concept work. The decision is always a team vote. So it's not like I always pick this out myself and I'm operating in a bubble. I think some of my best ideas are when I bounce my ideas off other team members and people, even friends and family. So you can't really design in a bubble for anything, whether it's designing the gameplay or designing characters or designing the environment. I always need to get feedback from other people so that I can step outside myself and hear what other perspectives are. Because if you only listen to yourself, you're going to defend your own work, you're not going to be objective, and you're going to get attached. So you need somebody else to tell you if something's good or bad to help you see a bit more clearly. McGilt H. This game holds a special place in my heart. He donated $3. Thank you very much. That warms my heart to hear that, so thank you for the compliment. Spooklord Entertainment. Spooklord, I see him active on Twitter a lot, so he donated $5. Thank you, Spooklord. How come there's 2 different tracks for Mind Your Manners? Well, they're the 2 versions of the gameplay track. So the one is the normal mode that plays when the player has not been spotted by the enemy. That is the golden rule. And Mind Your Manners is what happens when the Gold Watchers, spot the player. That's basically the panic music. And it only plays when the player is being pursued. Once the player is no longer being pursued, it stops. Okay, Janet Walter, will we get Dark Deception console ports? And she contributed $2. Thank you very much. Yeah, so the console ports are actually already in development. We're working on Switch, Xbox One, and PS4. But of course, on consoles, we have to finish all 5 chapters before we can release it. So we can't do it chapter by chapter like we do on PC and we're going to do for mobile. So we can't release the console version until the PC version is completely done, unfortunately. So apologies to our console fans. You just have to wait a little bit longer than everybody else, but it will be out. And we may do something unique for the console ports to make them kind of more interesting, maybe like Soul Calibur did, where they put like a special character in each version, or maybe something extra in the extras menu. So yeah, it's on the table. We're discussing it. We'll see what happens. Isaac Smith. Let me see. Whoops, it suddenly scrolled. Isaac Smith gave $2. Thank you very much. Where are my questions in the list of yours? I don't know. I'm going down the list. We'll see if I get to any from you. I don't know what was chosen. I'm going to look through them. But it looks like we have a few left, so you might be in them. We'll see. Claudius Maximus contributed $5. Thank you very much. Hey Vince, how do you feel about Mama Bear and Trigger Teddy's level? Is it hard? Unique? If you answer this question, thank you in advance. Yeah, I will answer your question. Actually, Mama Bear's level's probably my favorite level out of Chapter 4. For various reasons that I won't give because it's kind of a spoiler. But I think you guys will like it. I mean, I think you'll like all the levels, but some of you may be more attached to Mama Bear's level for the same reasons that I am. Joven Noble gave $10 Canadian. Thank you very much, Joven. #1 fan. That's great. Thank you. Funtime Freddy 60. $5. Your game is amazing. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much for your support. I've seen you constantly on social media as well. Jamer Gamer 06. How is Dark Deception Mobile going? So yeah, I get asked about Dark Deception Mobile a lot, and for good reason. I started talking about it in December. I originally said it was going to come in December, and originally it was. So in case you don't know, Dark Deception Mobile is not being done by our team. We have a partner studio that's working on that. They're based in LA. They're called Broken Circle Studios. And they're a great group of guys. They've worked on consoles and PC games and mobile games forever. They've done some really big titles, so they're a great group of guys, and I'm amazed at what they've been able to do with Dark Deception Mobile. But because of the quality level of their work, there's been a lot of challenges with getting Dark Deception working on mobile at 60 frames per second on iOS and on Android. So every time we think we're getting close to wrapping it up, they hit a new technical challenge that they need to fix. So this caused the game, well, in December they took 2 weeks off to celebrate Christmas with their families, which was fine with me. January they ran into some more problems, which is why it slid into February. And February we do have a hard deadline set in February to release this thing, but I'm not going to promise that nothing else will go wrong. Just trust me on this. Dark Deception Mobile is coming very soon, and it is pretty close to the finish line. So when it is done, I will release the trailer, and I will let you guys know first thing. So hopefully that will keep people happy this month and kind of delay some of these where's Dark Deception Mobile questions. It is coming, trust me. And we are trying to make a version, the best version of Dark Deception on mobile that will make all fans happy from all over the world. So that's a lot of different ecosystems and communities to kind of cater to, and we're trying to account for that. So it's caused a little bit of delay on their side. So I'm working through this with them, and we're resolving it, and it'll be coming soon. Okay, we got a $7 from Alex Galbo. Which level in Chapter 4 would you say is your favorite? Currently, I would say my favorite level is the Gold Watcher level, Mind Your Manners. Just because I love the environment, I love the Gold Watchers, even though they're really challenging. And I love the interiors that Penn did with the texturing. I feel like it's some of her best texture work. And I really like the kind of decadence of that level. So I think currently that's my favorite. Once Chapter 4 comes out, my favorite will change. But I'll tell you guys that later. We have $1.99 from Radish Cat. Thank you very much. How did you come up with Agatha? Just asking. Agatha was based on my desire to parody the endless number of Grudge Girl horror movies. So it seemed like there's just a infinite number of these horror movies from Japan and Asia and the US where it's always some evil female spirit, whether it's a child or an adult female. And it just felt like that had been super saturated in the film market, and I wanted to kind of poke fun at that. So that was the initial kind of motivation for Agatha, was to kind of parody that, and then she kind of evolved from there into something else in the story as we scaled up the game and the storyline within the game. Small Marble, he's involved in Twitter a lot and some of our other social media. Thank you very much. He threw in $1 for us. Appreciate that. Promer Firebird Xbox, cool. Hey, I like that icon. Thank you for your contribution, $1.99. We have another $1.99 from Octololbit. Hey Vince, do the Trigger Teddies have voices too? Yes, they do, but they're more like the monkeys and the duckies. So they have their voice is actually voiced by Christopher Corey Smith, but he does do more of a monstrous sound. They're not going to be talking like Mama Bear is. So I may actually do a voice reveal for them as a video pretty soon, but it's just a bunch of sound effects, so I wasn't going to lead off with that. I felt Mama Bear was a much more interesting way to go because she actually talks. So that's why I started with that, in case anybody was wondering. Indolor is one of our members, €5. Thank you very much, Indolor. You're thick, bro. You lift... No, I don't. I sit in a chair all day. It says, do you have any other activities other than working on the game? You're killing it, by the way. Stronger than that jackhammer, I wish. That jackhammer is killing me right now. It's great I had some coffee. Yeah, actually, I do have other stuff I do outside of gaming. You know, I sit in my chair all day long working from probably like 9 a.m. till 2 in the morning. But occasionally I like to take breaks. I'm a big foodie. I like to go out and try different foods. I love going to other countries to try other foods. I'm big into diving and sports. So I used to play a lot of sports, obviously. I played baseball for a while, but I've got like some not so great knees now, so I don't do that too much anymore. But I still enjoy the ocean a lot. I love being near the sea. I go scuba diving whenever I can, and I travel whenever I can. So, yeah, that's kind of what I do to kill time in between. And what I'm trying to do now is start doing live streaming. So this is kind of like my grand opening for live streaming. But I'm going to go to Twitch soon, and I'm trying to do some gameplay live streams. So one of the things, I'm a fan of horror games myself. So like you guys are a fan of Dark Deception, I'm a fan of many other indie horror games, as well as big studio horror games. So I want to kind of explore some of the other games that are out there that inspire me. Things that I like or things that I just think are really weird and random that I want to share with fans. So that's going to be kind of like my little place to test out some other horror games that are out there. So that's what I'll be doing soon. And now that I've kind of figured out streaming a little more, I'm using Streamlabs OBS to do this stream right now, and it seems pretty straightforward and easy, actually, other than connecting it to YouTube. It seems like it connects to Twitch a lot better. So on Twitch, it should be no problem, and I'm just going to stream from my desktop, and I'll have a little corner window for myself. And I'll test that out and see how many of you guys are interested in that. Kelly Newby contributed $2 Canadian. Thank you very much. Are you already working on Chapter 5 concept art? Actually, yes, we are. So I'm working on Chapter 5 concept art, and we actually have some of the Chapter 5 levels going to prevent Chapter 5 from taking as long as Chapter 4 did. Chapter 4 is definitely the largest chapter, though, even though Chapter 5 is pretty big as well. Chapter 5 is a lot more story and cutscenes, and the levels, it has just as many levels, maybe even more levels than Chapter 4, but they're smaller. So thus it's less work. So we're trying to get that out of the way while we're doing Chapter 4 and wrapping that up. Okay, Octolobit threw in another 5. Thank you very much. Wow, you just keep contributing. Thank you, guys. And Leslie loves art. Sorry if I keep saying that wrong. I'm having like a tongue twister with that thing for some reason. Do you like cats? That's funny because I actually got 3 do you like dogs or cats questions. I like how this one just kind of specifically targets one of them. Yeah, actually I love cats. I've got Coco, my blue Russian cat. She's not here right now. I've also had dogs, so I'm kind of a dog and cat person, but I definitely grew up with dogs. My family had a lot of Boston Terriers, and they're all small dogs. So I grew up with these little small dogs my whole life, so I'm used to small animals. I guess I'm not that big of a guy either, so I'm kind of like Markiplier size. So yeah, small animals suit me. If I tried to ride around, I could ride around on a Saint Bernard if I wanted to. That would look pretty humorous and silly. But yeah, big dogs leave big messes, so I like the small dogs and their small messes. And cats are kind of cool the same way. They kind of do their own thing and just go to the litter box. I don't have to worry about messes when I come home. So yeah. All right, guys. Thank you to everyone who did the super chat. I'm going to wrap up the subscriber questions. Since it's 11 now, I'm going to go a little bit longer than an hour, but I'm going to wrap it up there. So I'll go 5 more questions, and then we'll kind of wrap this up, since I started late. Where did you get the idea for Gold Watchers? Okay, so the Gold Watcher idea actually came from a show I watched in Mississippi in the U.S. So there was a Cirque du Soleil type show that wasn't Cirque du Soleil. And it was, I forget the name of it, but it was playing at a casino in Biloxi, Mississippi. And they had this character inside of the show that was kind of this revolutionary looking judge. And when I was watching it, I was like, oh, that guy's, maybe it was the way he was lit. He didn't have like a mask so much, but it looked like a mask with the lighting. And I was like, oh, that looks really creepy. That'd make for an interesting character. So that version wasn't gold. He was just all white. But I thought it would be really interesting to have a humanoid character that was kind of revolutionary, because there's a lot about the past we don't know, and a lot of their cultures and customs can come off as a bit shocking and horrific to us today. Things were a lot more brutal back then, so I felt like it fit with horror. And you do see a lot of horror take place in the past, just because of we don't have a lot of records of what happened back then. And it makes things a lot more mysterious and kind of left to our imagination. And I think that's what appealed to me about the Gold Watchers, was that it kind of tapped into the aristocracy and gold and human greed. And that was kind of a concept I was interested in exploring for Doug. So, I'm sorry, that question was from Coop Estes, if I didn't say that. I can't remember. So number 17 is from one of our biggest YouTubers, actually, GMD13 from Russia. What is the most difficult moment in developing a chapter? What do you think about the Russian DD community? The most difficult moment in developing a chapter is probably coming up with the concepts and kind of exploring what all the zones will look like. That's actually a lot of work, and it takes a while to nail down the environments. So I think that's probably the most time-consuming part. Once we have all the concepts done, doing the actual modeling work, it does take time, but it's not as time-consuming as sitting there trying to come up with the ideas. You know, sometimes I'll have the equivalent of writer's block, where I just can't visualize something in an interesting way. Because one of my pet peeves is design that's not interesting or creative. I don't want to do generic design, so I try to think up things that are actually a little bit different than what people are expecting and a little bit more creative. So that takes more time. And as for the Russian DD community, I was actually surprised by the Russian DD community because I wasn't expecting one. We've actually gotten a lot of support from Russia, so props to everyone from Russia. Thank you all for your support. I think all of the countries have supported us very well, but Russia actually made it into our top 5 for Dark Deception in sales and players. So I think that was a big surprise to us, and it was a welcome surprise. So yeah, we have a lot of respect for our Russian community, as well as all of our other communities, but thank you guys for your support out there, and we'll keep trying to improve our translations to make the game experience better for everyone who's not, in an English-speaking country. Number 18, HG Gamer 53. In chapters 4 and 5, will there be more than one boss battle? I kind of already answered that, but yeah, every level's going to have a boss battle, so yeah. Question 19 from Noah Overguard. When and how did you get the idea of making Dark Deception? Actually, I already covered that in a devlog. I think it was devlog 2, but Dark Deception was inspired by Pac-Man. And it came when I was working with my previous partner as part of Glowstick Games back in 2014. And it was inspired by this image we found online of Pac-Man that was kind of trippy. It was an astronaut that was representing Pac-Man, and he was being haunted by these deceased comrades, I guess. Maybe they're cosmonauts, I don't know. But they were the Pac-Man ghosts. They were all each one of the Pac-Man ghosts for like Blinky, Pinky, and the others. So that and just the gameplay of Pac-Man, which is very timeless, kind of inspired us to create Dark Deception. We wanted to make a horror maze game. And then as its popularity grew, I decided to give it more of a story, and that is where it kind of grew and evolved from that. Okay, number 20, I love my Wi-Fi. Why are the clown gremlins in the 5th level basically dwarves? Yeah, so the clown gremlins are midgets because they're gremlins. Gremlins are small. I think a lot of people, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but definitely a group of people asked for full-size clowns, like large clowns. And I think that's been covered already. I think a lot of the games already give you, full-size or oversized clowns. You have Stephen King's It. You have tons of games that have clowns in them, just random garbage horror games from like Dreamcast all the way to present consoles. So I thought that's something that players have already seen. So I wanted to try something different, and the idea of midget clowns chasing you and tearing at your ankles and stuff just seemed kind of humorous to me, and also kind of scary. So I think anything with clowns scares me. I'm kind of a wuss with clowns. I'm not afraid to admit that. If you put a clown in the room with me, I will just kind of silently excuse myself while closely observing them. So yeah, that's kind of why. Question number 21, Little Jerry Smith. Do you think a hard mode can and will be implemented in the game? So yeah, we're going to add a hard mode for those people that really, really want to punish themselves. I may throw in a special reward for you guys as well, because I really admire people that want to work hard and are not afraid of a challenge. So we may throw a hard mode in, or an insane hell mode. And we may throw in a special reward for the people that are willing to suffer through that. So that's definitely on the table right now. Question number 22 from Hot Dog Buns HD. How much time does your team spend on making one Dark Deception level? Oh wow, that greatly varies. So that can go anywhere from 4 weeks to 8 weeks. Some levels even take more than that. That includes all the way from concept to modeling to texturing to putting it in Unreal and building it and lighting it and putting in the enemy pathing and testing it and bug fixing it. It's a lot of work. So I mean, just the environment modeling alone can be hundreds of hours. So I think each level is probably well over 1,000, 2,000 hours of work. So it may seem simple, but it's actually a ton of work, and that's why this takes some time. Most of the time, this kind of game would have a team of 20 or more people on it. We've got 3 people doing the work of 20. So it does slow things down. And just to explain game development a bit more to you guys, like we are basically overstretching ourselves to do a game like this. Question number 23, Camille. What is your favorite trap in Dark Deception? My favorite trap is in Chapter 4, and I can't spoiler it, but you'll see it. It's in the Joy Joy Gang level. It's fun. You'll like it. 24 from Igor Zaborski. Where do you get your characters' design ideas from? or do you make them up yourself? Yeah, that kind of blends into one of the other questions. I do make them all up myself. Oh, hey, Jackhammer guy. Okay, they're back. But everything I do is inspired by something that came before. I think that's how most design works. Nobody creates anything from scratch. Everybody has an inspiration for something. I mean, some of the biggest movies like Star Wars or Indiana Jones or Aliens, they're all inspired by something that came before. Aliens was inspired by Jaws. Star Wars is inspired by many things from earlier decades. Indiana Jones was inspired by the Maltese Falcon and many other sources. Every good designer is basically a chef mixing inspirations from various sources. So, I mean, like I said, the monkey was inspired by monkey shines. That doesn't mean the design came from that. It means the concept of monkey shines inspired me to create my own monkey, which in turn became what I designed. So even though my concept is original, it's inspired by monkey shines and other sources. So I wouldn't have been able to reach the concept that I did if I didn't have those inspirations. Yeah, I wonder if that's going to go on for a while. Just kind of endure. I hope next time I'm going to choose a different location to do my live stream so that we don't have something like this happen again. So question 25, Mr. Croc McDial, are you a fan of non-horror genre games? Actually, yeah, I am. So some of my favorite genres, I mean, I like all genres, but I love sports games. And I play a lot of JRPGs. So I'm a huge fan of Dragon Quest, Persona, Final Fantasy. I play first-person shooter games like Call of Duty, Serious Sam. I'm really excited for Doom Eternal. So if anyone's waiting for Doom Eternal, I'll be playing that whenever I have time. I have a Switch. Probably the game I played the most on Switch is Fire Emblem Three Houses. I also play Super Mario Odyssey. I'm a huge Nintendo fan, so I grew up with Zelda and Mario. I like Overcooked. I like cooking games and stuff like that. So I like those kind of life simulation games, but I play everything, and I can enjoy everything. One of my favorite games from growing up is Daytona. I used to play that in the arcades a lot when I was very little. I actually talked to the composer from that on Facebook. He's a really awesome guy from Japan. So if you ever heard those crazy songs he did, it's like "Game Over, yeah." That's that guy, and he's pretty awesome. So I love all of those old classic Sega games. Here's a big one for some of you who would like to hear. Number 26 from Ben Turtle. Do you plan to add key buying to Dark Deception so people who have broken buttons can enjoy the game? I guess you could just say key customization or key binding. Yeah, that's something we're going to add before we're finished with Dark Deception, so that will be added in. I guess they're just not going to stop anytime soon. Yeah, okay, 27. Will getting S rank in every level have any benefits? I don't know. You have to get all S rank, and you might see a benefit. But, yeah, there might be something there. Question 28 from Leslie Loves Art. Which software or program do you use when you make models, maps, mazes, and animations? We use Maya. So that's the main program we use for making animation and for modeling. We use Autodesk Maya. You can use Studio Max as well. You can also use Blender, but our preference is Maya. That's just what I've worked with my whole career. So I'm most comfortable in that. But I have had jobs where I actually worked with Studio Max. And Studio Max, honestly, for game modeling is much better, much faster. But for texturing, I just don't like it as much. Their texture tools are just not as intuitive, I guess. They're a little bit more obtuse, so or not obtuse, a little bit more complex. So yeah, it really is a matter of preference. Some people are very comfortable with Studio Max. I can make myself comfortable with it, but I always just prefer to do Autodesk, Maya. Last question, Adrian Miller. Between Joy Joy Gang and Mama Bear, which level is the most difficult? Again, that's probably going to be dependent on your skill and your own personal preference or what your personal challenges are. For me, myself, just because of the Joy Joy Gang level trap, I would say Joy Joy Gang level is harder for me, but it may not be that way for you. We'll see. All right, well, we are exactly at, well, about 5 minutes over an hour now, since it took about 10 minutes to get set up with everything. I'm really impressed how many of you guys came out for this and actually stuck with me through all this construction noise and the early problems. Thank you all for dealing with this and making this first live stream actually pretty decent. So thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to do a couple more of these, and I promise I will improve them as we go. This was definitely a little bit more of a rough first time experience. But yeah, thank you guys again, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. Signing off. See you guys.